Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Brought to you by Blue Sky Business Consulting. We discuss 5 questions in about 15 minutes. Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. I'm very excited for our guest today because she is awesome. We had a really lengthy pre-recording discussion because we were having so much fun with it. But I'd like to introduce to all of you, this is Jolynn Ledgerwood, and she is the principal of Elevate Your Talent out of Dallas, Texas. Jolynn, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me on the podcast. What would you like the audience to know about Elevate Your Talent?
This is a really easy question for me, Shawn, because it's my passion. You know how companies have tension around layoffs, reorganizations, and I use Lego Serious Play to break through to find the balance, establish trust, and function more cohesively. It's been said that teams that play together stay together, and that's where I really like to engage and bring some playfulness to the workplace.
Oh, I like it. We had so much fun talking because you talk about Legos, which is such a huge, I don't want to call it a fad because it's been around for decades. Mm-hmm. And there are people that just really get into building these big kits and sets. I'm not quite in that category, but I love what you talk about. We'll be talking about it throughout our episode today about Legos and how it can help in the workplace. And I love what you said about the teams that play together, stay together. Yeah. I'm obviously a big advocate of such behavior. So I'm very excited. So this is great because the first question, it fits very naturally, is I have a feeling I know what your answer is going to be, but let's ask the question and we'll jump into it. Sometimes leaders and their teams fall into a little bit of a lull as far as their energy is concerned. What's something that leaders can do to reinfuse some energy?
I'm going to make it really, I say simple, but just find a way to bring creativity to the table. And obviously my way is the Lego bricks. While anybody can use Lego bricks in any capacity, I use them to strategically ask questions, allow the teams to build. They are allowed to share. We reflect, ask questions that, while may seem very playful and fun and not impactful, it is so strategic and it is very impactful when people, when you open up your brain, when you work with your hands, you open up 80% more brain power, which when I first heard that statistic, I was like, that's crazy. But it's true. It engages the prefrontal cortex of your brain on the right side, and it allows more ideas to flow, maybe some unconscious things that you've been thinking that you haven't found a way to articulate. It allows them to build those things. And again, a lot of your subconscious comes through and you're able to see some things from various team members that they weren't able to express before, whether they didn't know how or they didn't feel safe or whatever that looks like. To get those interactions from teams is just pretty phenomenal. And like I said, any type of creativity, whether it's Play-Doh or, kinetic sand, whatever it may be, that feeds you, allow your team to do that so that they have that way of releasing some of that creativity. And it really does. It's a pivot of not just the work that has to be done, but I can have a good time and I can engage and, and keep building. It's not a one-time event. It's something that we kind of keep at our desks and can continue to engage with throughout, our work. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. And it's such a fascinating idea that I personally very much subscribe to, which is keep creativity going. That is such a great way for people to infuse energy because they go hand in hand. Creativity, when we're creative, the energy just naturally goes up. Yeah. And for those who are watching or listening, that's a big deal because that's when you get the energy back up, but that's also when you get innovation going. That's when you get new ideas going. And that's why leaders need to know how to do this effectively. And I just love that you do it with Legos. I just think that's such a great idea and that you're certified in it and you can help really lead powerful, impactful discussions. So I love that. I love that. So let's carry it on to the next question. And question number 2, how do leaders promote learning within their company?
It's if they show that they're always learning or they're always open to bringing someone in that can help the team learn and be better. I think that's huge. As far as in our team, we are always teaching others, so we have to be better at learning ourselves. We have to be better. And whether that's podcasts or books or any other avenue that feeds them, tap into that. I am always adamant to ask people that I work with, what did you learn? What is something you learned new today? And that really kind of, even for myself, I have to make sure that I'm not just answering emails and booking things and this and that. I have to also be out and learning new things and learning about new or not technologies necessarily, but assessments or tools that we can all use to be better, right? And so I think that it's important for leaders to show that, number one, by asking the question of the people they work with, their peers, their associates, their teams, by asking those questions, what have you learned new, or what are you interested in lately? That does two things. One, it encourages learning in the workplace. And two, it really helps to build that relationship. It really shows that my manager cares about me and wants to know more about me. And that's huge, especially nowadays at work. It's hard. There's so many layoffs going on. There's so many, and while someone may be grateful that they weren't laid off, that layoff still severely impacted them in their work. I remember for a time I worked for a very large company. You can take a guess off any of my resume. And there were frequently, like probably once a quarter, oh, there's more layoffs coming up. There's more layoffs coming up. And that sucked more energy than it did drive, I want to be better so that I'm not laid off. Like that wasn't, I was just like, well, who are they going to lay off? Am I at risk? And just, it puts you on edge. And even though those talks are happening, and even though that process it could be inevitable, who knows, to focus on the people that are still there and investing the time and energy on those that are still there and showing them that they are of value, that we do care about what you think, we do care about, what you contribute to the organization. And yes, there might be some changes, but, we do care about you. It's for companies that are that large. Yes, money matters, dollar value matters, board, you have to reference the board on all those things, but to show the people that you're working with that we do care about you. We don't want these layoffs to happen, or whatever that looks like, but invest in your people. And if I'm a leader asking questions of my team, what did you learn today? What are you interested in? That shows that I'm invested in you, and that shows that I care about you. And even if the layoff does happen, I still felt like I mattered. I still felt like I was part of the team. And I think that's really important.
I agree, especially in this day and age where we're doing a lot, just like you and I are doing over Zoom.
Yeah.
Where sometimes it's a little bit harder to make that connection. And so just being willing to ask the question, what have you learned?
Yeah.
It does create an emotional connection between people and show a little bit more of the human side than just the business side.
Absolutely.
Great response. I like that.
Thanks.
All right. Question number 3. What's one tip that you have for effective delegation?
So this is going to tie into a little bit of my background and some of the methodologies I use. I'm a big proponent of the Strengths Finder, or Clifton Strengths, whatever you choose to call it. It's so much more than some of the other assessments that I've seen. And it truly uncovers who I am at my core and how does my brain work. And so when I have a list of tasks that need to be done, I take a look at my team's strengths and I'm like, who's really good at this? And I ask them, this isn't technically in your job description, but would you be willing to do this? Absolutely. I would love to, is normally the response. And then the job gets done. There's not stress on the person that was supposed to complete it, because that's not how their brain works. But there's a huge relief and investment in the person that did complete the work, because their brain does that work that way. It was easier for them and it came to them quicker than maybe someone else. So to line up those strengths to the people, and granted, there's going to be times that, that one report, well, nobody's strength is high reporting, right? That's not one of the options.
Right.
Someone's going to have to do it. And if that someone has to be me as the leader, then fine, I'll do it. At the end of the day, all the things have to get done. But really, I'm not a strategic thinker at all. And so when learning plans come in or this or that, I leaned on one of my instructional designers because he's number one was strategic. He is just a brilliant mind, and he loved doing it, and it was easy for him. And I looked at the result, we talked about it when he brought it back, and it looked perfect. And so we used it, and it was great. And everybody's happy because the job was done and I didn't have to do it because, and it was probably better that way. He came up with some really great ideas that I hadn't even considered. And so when you're able to lean into someone's strengths, I think that's a great way to get things done. So it seems to work out well. Not a lot of leaders seem to do that, but I think it's remarkable when you can look at the entire team on that grid and you can, outline who's good in this area. We had at a different company I worked, a subject matter expert in one task. And he didn't want to necessarily be a leader in the group, but when we talked about if someone would be willing to train the new person, they were real quick to sign up and say, hey, pick me.
Interesting.
Yeah, which I would have never said, hey, you want to train some people? Because what he did and how he worked just didn't. But again, in looking at his strengths, he was high relationship building. And so I should have known that that's the guy. And so sometimes you just have to ask the question, who would like to do this task? And the people that rise up to that challenge are sometimes not who you expect it to be. Yeah.
It's a great point. And obviously, as a certified coach in StrengthsFinder, I'm especially keen on this whole idea. But I love that you described that strengths-based approach to delegation, because that's exactly, in my opinion, at least, and I think you agree, we're on the same page here, that is the most effective way to delegate, is to say, okay, who's best suited to do this based on what they naturally do well. And that's part of the advantage of going through a strengths assessment of some kind. It creates that awareness and that knowledge of, hey, who's on the team and who does what well. And then when we do have that opportunity to delegate it in that way, then you know who to give it to. And then it doesn't feel like it's work to hand it off to somebody, or it's a task, or it's a demeaning task. It's something that they enjoy.
And they're excited about, and they'd love to do it.
Exactly.
They bring it back before it's due, and there's all these things. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. Well, question number 4, how can leaders communicate the vision and the mission and the values to their team members in a really effective way?
This is a good question. Obviously, telling them around a conference table is the kind of go-to method, and everyone's like, oh my God. But maybe that's the start, and maybe that's the beginning of, obviously I could say we could bring Lego Serious Play into it, and we can build, what does this look like to you? And how does growth look like? Well, what does that look like? And show me what your contribution to this goal will be. Obviously that's an easy answer for me, and please call me and we'll be happy to do that. But just in general, leaders need to show the teams how he or she is living those goals and the vision for the team, and what that looks like to him, and how he sees the team adding to that vision and purpose. Again, I think the more creative you can be with it, the better, because it's really going to tap into everyone's minds, whether that's art or Play-Doh, Legos, whatever. But to put that out and make it a tangible thing that they can look at and see, I think is just amazing. And it's just a great way to take the, broken marker on the whiteboard to, and everybody has that response. They're like, oh yeah. And if we can take our work out of this box that we feel like it has to fit in, so that we can be productive and make a lot of money, if we could take it out of that and just be like, how could we, how would you guys like to learn about our purpose and vision? What? No one's ever asked me like how to
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just that broken marker, or the 25 slide, whatever, 8-point font that fits on the PowerPoint. But to maybe allow them to build, maybe allow them to craft in some way what this means to them. And I don't know, maybe give each person a different part of that mission and purpose, and see what they bring to the table, and see, how they want to present it. Or, maybe you talk to your high influencers and, get an idea from them on how it would be a great way to introduce these to the team. But I think the old methodologies they don't work anymore. And a lot of leaders think that they work because apparently they've worked all along. So they must really, and they really haven't all along. We've just kind of done what we were supposed to do. Giving your team some of the ownership in that opens up a lot of their creativity and a lot of their ability to also lead the team. And I think there's a lot to be said for that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wonderful response.
Oh.
Yeah, there's so much there that we could either talk for a very long time about that. But you're absolutely right. Allowing people to participate in the process. You made an interesting comment that we've been doing things a certain way for so long, and it's not that way is a bad way. It's just that we're finding better ways to communicate with each other.
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to. So I love that you brought that out.
Thanks.
All right. Last question. And this is a fun question. I love this question. Share with us a baseball memory.
Okay. I'm going to ask for 2, just because as a kid, I grew up many, many years ago. And back then, baseball stadiums had legit bleacher seats, or it was a long piece of metal that in Texas was blasting hot by the time we got to there. But our church youth group every summer would go and we would sit in the bleacher seats. It didn't matter if they were better seats. We didn't want them. We wanted the bleacher seats. And during the 7th inning stretch, they would play music and we would stand on the bleachers and do high kicks. And we would cheer for Pud Rodriguez and Nolan Ryan and Steve Buechele, all the guys. It was so much fun. And I just have such fond memories of that growing up. Now my son plays baseball and he is wicked good at baseball. And there was one of the games that I try to attend as many as I can. And he was able to, it was a triple play. It was a straight hit to his glove. He oddly was playing third for some reason. He normally plays second. But he caught it, tagged the guy behind him that was running to third because bases were loaded, and then nailed it over to first base and got that guy out. And I was just like, what? Like, it just was amazing. As a mom, as a proud and a big baseball advocate, I absolutely love baseball, and that's an easy one for me. So,
oh, great stories. I love them both.
Yeah.
I love that you had a fun experience, but I
Yeah.
also love that, I mean, a triple play, those are not very common, first of all, but it's it happens so fast. Every time, whenever you witness a triple play, it's like, what just happened?
Yeah.
You know, we're used to seeing double plays. Those come up fairly regularly, but a triple play, not very often. So that's awesome that your son got to do that and be a part of that.
So fun.
Love it. Well, thank you for sharing those stories. And thank you again for taking time to be on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
How can people get a hold of you?
I'm on LinkedIn. So Jolynn, Jollynn Ledgerwood. You can reach me. My company website is elevateyourtalent.co. Or if you're connected with Shawn, I'm connected with Shawn. So you can meet me through there as well. I also have a podcast called Play for Performance. And I told Shawn earlier today that I want him to join me at some point.
Yes.
We have I love this vibe that we have. So we're going to continue our conversation on my way. But yeah, I'd love to connect. I'd love to touch base. If you have any ideas for fun playfulness, I would love for you to share them. And can I add one last quote, Shawn,
Please.
to our conversation? You may recognize this, but I'm going to say it anyway. It was said long ago, in every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. You find the fun and snap, the job's a game. That was Mary Poppins. And if you have kids, you may have heard it before. If not, keep it in mind, because bringing playfulness to work really does open up a lot of creativity and fun. And it shows your people that they don't have to be taken that seriously either, that it's just, we're all here to get the thing done and do it as easy and as fun as we can.
Oh, that's such a great line from the film. And I right away when you started, I was like, oh, this is Mary Poppins. I know this.
It is. That's right.
And it's a great mentality as well. That's what the whole movie is about. So again, thank you. We really appreciate you being on the podcast today. And thanks to all of you who are watching or listening. We appreciate your support every week and look forward to joining you every week as we continue to talk about leadership in teams. And don't forget to pick up your copy of Rapid Fire Leadership. It's on Amazon.com. That'll give you more ideas on tips for better leadership. Thanks so much for joining us and have a great day. This is Shawn Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, go to teamengagementpodcast.com. We also invite you to follow or subscribe to our podcast wherever you may be listening or watching. Is your business thriving? Go to tbs-score.com to find out. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.